Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Dr. Manojkumar Gaddikeri. Let me begin with a case scenario where a 36-year-old male presents with the symptoms of progressive myelopathy since 8 months duration. On seeing the images, the first thought that comes to mind is how should we operate him, whether by anterior or posterior approach. Since we commonly use posterior approach and we are well versed with that, so it was of our interest to find out whether the posterior approach actually works in these cases. So we came up with a study to find out the long-term operative outcome of giant calcified thoracic disc herniation who are operated by posterolateral approach. Thoracic disc herniation is a rare event with incidence ranging between 0.15 to 4%, with calcification seen in 42% of the herniated discs. They are labeled as giant when they occupy more than 40% of the canal, and of those herniated discs, 40 to 70% show intradural extension, and leading to myelopathy in 70 to 95% of the cases. So we planned a study with the objective to evaluate the long-term surgical outcome in giant thoracic disc herniations who are operated by posterolateral approach, for which we chose a retrospective study design consisting of 24 patients who are operated by posterolateral approach who were followed up for a duration of 2 years. Clinically, the data regarding neurology as per Frankel grade, instrumentation levels, surgical time, blood loss, post-op mobilization, and complications, if any, were recorded. And radiologically, the data included X-rays taken pre-operatively and post-operatively at multiple time points, MRI and CT scan done pre-operatively, percentage of canal encroachment, and the number of levels affected were calculated. All patients were operated by posterolateral approach, either by a transfacetal, transpedicular, or a costotransfasectomy approach, based on the size and location of the herniated disc as shown in the table, where a single level paracentral or foraminal disc was operated by a unilateral transfacetal or transpedicular approach, and a single level central giant disc was operated by bilateral transfacetal or transpedicular approach, and multi-level discs were operated using costotransfasectomy approach or a multi-level transpedicular or transfacetal approach. The basic principle was to remove the anterior and mid portion of the herniated disc without touching the posterior disc, in the process thinning the posterior disc into a thin eggshell. Later on, the dura was freed and the remaining disc was punched anteriorly into the hollow space created. Finally, instrumented fusion was done using graft or cage. Due to lack of facilities and financial constraints, no neuromonitoring or ultrasonic scalpel was used in any of these cases. The results of our study showed that the condition affects a relatively younger population with a mean age of 39 years, and with most common site being T11, T12 disc. The mean canal occupancy was 58.2%. There was neurological recovery in 91.6% of the patients and bowel recovery of 67.2% by the end of 2 years. The mean level of instrumentation was 4.25 levels, and the mean time to mobilization was around 4 days. There was no neurological worsening, no recurrence, or any need for redo surgery by the end of 2 years. We usually expect major complications to occur in such cases, but luckily we had 6 complications which were relatively minor, with 3 dural tear and 3 superficial surgical site infections which are treated by local debridement. Finally, I would like to conclude by saying that posterolateral approach can deal with all types of giant calcified thoracic disc herniations, irrespective of their location and size. Thank you.